so guys, welcome to Interview with Jane Volume 6. So, I've got an incredible guest for you today. And known for his work across folk metal, black metal, death metal, and even cross punk. Okay, please give a warm welcome to one and only Mathias Lillmåns. Woo!
Hello, everyone.
Wow, I'm actually in the same cyberspace as you. I seriously can't believe this is real. Oh shit, seriously, I'm a massive fan of your works. I've been fangirling for your work for almost like 5 or 6 years. I don't know. And I honestly
Okay,
didn't
cool.
think you'd say yes when I reached out for an interview. So when I first got your response, I genuinely thought I somehow sent a message to a spam account by mistake.
No, that's me. I don't think I'm not really sure if I ever actually did an interview to Korea. So yeah, so it could be the first one. So
Oh,
I
really?
was really happy to hear
Oh,
from
I
you.
was really appreciated. Yeah, to talk about the Korean folk metal scene before we start the real interview,
Yeah,
many people know that folk metal exists, but they only some they only know some kind of like real famous folk metal. Of course, Fintroll, but Ensiferum, like Fintroll, Turisas, and you know that there are some big five folk metal bands in Finland. So
yeah,
yeah, these are the only folk metal bands that they know. So I really want to, interview like some famous folk metal musicians just like you and let people know much about
yeah.
it. Anyway, I'm really glad to
Perfect.
meet you today. So, okay, let's start with a typical question. Could you give us a brief introduction of yourself?
Well, I'm Mathias Lillmåns. I'm from Finland. I live in a small city called Pietarsaari, or Jakobstad, as we say in Swedish. I've been a professional musician for about 25 years, but I've had a career that is actually around 30 years now. Actually, this year it should be, yeah. But in more involved and really like working full time, it's been around 25 years. And people know me as Brett from Fintroll mostly, but also maybe from my other bands like Oceans and Yesterday and Dispyt, Magenta Harvest. You actually got in your background, you got the flyer for Twilight Moon. That was my first black metal band that I had, and I actually released from the first demo from '98. Actually, some material just recently. So yeah,
Okay, thank you for your introduction. And I'm, as I told you before, I'm a huge fan of your last work and also your recent work. So, all right then, let's dive into your music. First of all, I'm gonna ask you some question about Fintroll.
yeah,
So far you've been involved in 4 Fintroll albums, right?
yeah.
Yeah, looking back, so which album are you the most proud of, or which one do you enjoy the most? And were there any funny or memorable moments during the recording process that stands out to you?
Well, yeah, I did 4 albums with Fintroll plus some EPs and some other songs here and there, some covers we did and stuff like that. Uh, well, looking back at the Fintroll time, because I've been involved in Fintroll for 20 years. So um, I'd say like a high point for me was definitely the Niflwind album. That was when it all really took off in Europe. The folk metal scene was rising, and when we released that album, it exploded. That was 2010, I think, or 11.
Yeah,
That we
2010.
yeah, but around where the
Yeah, yeah,
really peak
yeah.
for folk metal was, and that was it was crazy times. We toured 150 180 gigs per year all over the world, and you could really make a nice living from touring with a folk metal band. And we did those big like festival tours that with all the other Finnish bands, the Turjasas, Korpiklaani, Ensiferum, Winter Sun, all those bands were involved in these, and there were a lot of fun tours. and that's also when like bands like Ailstorm came and started getting their success. And yeah, so that was probably if I would have to choose one Fintroll album that I'm most proud of, and that's Niflheim. Also because I really like, I think that's the most like, how to say, like hit song album that we did. You know, we had the big songs from my era, like songs like Solsagan and Under Bergets Rot from that album. So it's a great time to look back on.
Yeah, thank you for answering. And okay, so I'm gonna ask you, which Fintroll song is the most difficult to perform, and which one has been the most fun to sing?
Well, difficult ones. Oh, uh, but there are a lot of songs that we never really, played because they are really, really hard to
Oh, really?
put in a live setting. So there's a lot of songs that we never played. But so I can't really pick any that was like the hardest one. But I always really, really enjoyed because back in the day, um, I actually had the first Fintroll album. I was involved in like tape trading in the 90s, and I was trading with uh with a guy, and he had a lot of Finnish metal, and I picked a lot of stuff to trade with him, and but he picked more from my list, so he wanted more albums from me, and I didn't find that much with him, and he said, and I told him like, send me something that I haven't heard, something that you like, and he actually sent me the first Fintroll album. Never heard about Fintroll, and yeah, so I got to meet not that. Sorry about that one.
No, 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 no. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, but I got that as a trading, trading like a part of tape trading, and so when I joined Fintroll in 2006, it was a really nostalgic album for me because it was the only Fintroll album I heard so far. I didn't know about the other albums, so in my time in Fintroll, I really, really enjoyed playing from the first album. I really like those songs. They have this really weird black metal vibe to them that yeah, that it's something like a really nostalgic. And for me, playing songs like Svartberg from that album was a really, the first, well, after the intro, the first track. So
Mm.
that's a really, really, really like nostalgic song to me.
Like I forgot the name of your live album, but I remember that the at the end of the live album you played like Sager song, right? Sager song.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Yeah,
yeah,
right,
it's
right.
from the first. Yeah,
Yeah, I
it's
really I really love that one. I really love like listen to that song in your live because I really love that song. Yeah, that was my favorite in the first album. And anyway, like like the vocal style of Katla and I forgot the second singer's name. Like, what was his name, by the way?
Vilska.
Yeah, Virska. And like you, Brett. Yeah, this three vocalist style is really different, but definitely I think your vocal style suits very much into your first and second, and like the albums that
Yeah,
you didn't involve. I
yeah.
think your vocal style really suits well in that album too.
So,
Anyway, so okay, let's talk about your vocals. So your vocals seem quite different between Urjorden's Dupe and Niflheim. So they sound more stable and refined on the latter one. And how
yeah.
did you practice and improve over those 3 years gap?
Well, that was most more because I already had sort of like the vocal range for it. But for me, in the beginning when I joined, when I first started with the guys, uh, I was in really, really like different bands. I had Thonia, and that was really like a black and death metal
Yeah,
band, and
definitely.
I was really enjoying that kind of kind of music, like listening a lot to like bands like Behemoth and stuff like that. So looking back on Uriudens Djup, it was kind of like I didn't really find my the character that I wanted. So for me, I was still kind of living in that like black and death metal world, and starting because I was never really involved in folk metal scene. I didn't really listen to any folk metal before I joined Finntroll. I didn't even know that they had other albums than the first album. I never heard songs like Trollhammaren or anything even before I joined. So for me it was kind of initiation period over there. It took me quite a lot of like gigs and time, because when I joined the band, we started a couple of months later. We went into the studio. The half of the album was written when I joined in 2006. So I think we went into the studio maybe in September, and I joined in around Easter. It was so it was in April. So that means that I hadn't really found myself yet. So that's why and also that's why I told you earlier that Niflwind is kind of my favorite album as well, because that's really when I found my Finntroll voice.
Oh, glad to hear that. And I was about to say about your vocal style later than this. So yeah, you can talk later more specifically then. Okay,
Mhm.
so this is my friend's question. And like although the folk metal scene is really niche, in here there are still some people who really love folk metal and like folk metal, like especially the black and folk metal, like Fintroll or Moonsorrow, something like that. So
Yeah.
this is my friend's question, and whose idea was the steampunk concept for Häxbrygd? And like me and like my friend always thought that concept was pretty hilarious, and especially the music video.
Yeah, that was a fun music video to do. Actually, it was uh, well, the whole steampunk thing came, or it's not even just like steampunk. It's also a little bit like cyberpunk, but
Oh.
it's a bit of both worlds over there. But yeah, we started, on tours and on festivals. We were sitting around a lot. You're waiting in airports, you're waiting in buses, you're waiting in backstages. So all the time we were talking about this, evolving this concept of the characters, and making them more. Because before that we only had like really normal metal gear on
Yeah,
stage,
yeah.
a little bit of face paint, and you had like a bullet belts, and there was stud bracelets, and yeah, and the stripe on face and stuff like that. So we were not that, we didn't have all the troll gimmicks. So but it sort of, we were bored in backstage, and we started talking about this, and we started about talking about building our own characters and making them actually like, yeah, coming more alive. And to see that on a live show, see it in music videos, see it in promo photos, seeing it in album covers. And then when we had recorded the album and started making the music videos for it, we just like thought that let's do something, something really over the top, something else. And there was this show on TV called Pimp My Ride, and we're gonna do like own stupid version of this. And that was also Rota, the guitar player. He did also videos for Nedgång, and he was also directing the video for Trollhammar, and he did all this because that's what his job was back then
Yeah, I
to.
know that. He's kind of like director,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So then he came up with this like Pimp My Ride idea, and so yeah, it's sort of a team effort, but he was the guy that really brought it to life.
Oh, pretty cool. Because I really love that concept because, as I said before, it's pretty hilarious. And if I remember correct, from from that album, you guys started wearing those troll ears, right?
Well, Well, we already did it on the promo shoot on the Niflwind album. We already
Oh,
had it.
yeah.
But
Oh, but in
we
the
didn't use it
yeah,
live.
yeah,
No,
you didn't use it in the live game,
no,
so
no. It
so.
was just for the promo shoots. We didn't even use it in the music videos. So,
Mm.
yeah. And then, but on Bloodsport, it's really sort of, yeah.
Oh, so
Uh,
you established your troll sona by that album, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. It took a little some years, but yeah, we got there.
Okay, you now, yeah, from that album you became the real troll. Thank you for answering.
Yeah, yeah. It's since then everybody in the band has had it on them live. Yeah.
Okay, so are there any folk metal artists or band that you personally enjoy listening to?
Yeah, definitely. As I said before, I've never really been really like super into the folk metal scene, but for example, bands well, Moonsaro has well, I didn't know about Moonsaro either before I joined Fintroll, but when I started listening to them, I really started liking it. And those, yeah, they're really nice guys, and toured a lot with them, but they also make a lot of music. So if I would have to choose like a band that is my favorite folk metal band, it would be Moonsara. Definitely.
Yeah, they are my favorite folk metal bands too. Like if I had to choose two folk metal bands in Finland, I definitely choose Fintroll and Musoro.
All right.
Okay, so this is kind of like more serious question. So
Mhm.
you're living in Finland, so Finland is often considered the home of folk metal. Like I guess the pioneer of folk metal is the Fintroll and the Untitled. So I thought like that, and what one many fans call the Big Five of Finnish folk metal. So why do you
Mhm.
think the genre became so prominent there?
Ooh, well, this is kind of like a generic answer, but it's got a lot with the Finnish nature and the Finnish character to do. All these every country in the world has some kind of folk music.
Hmm.
And if you go to, let's say, like the Mediterranean areas, like Greece and Italy, they have folk music, but it's kind of how to say, like kind of happy. It's kind of like a positive
Yeah,
folk,
yeah.
and also I think a little bit in Sweden and Norway also, it's the folk music is a bit same as in Finland, but it's got a more positive, more like major scale kind of vibe to it. In Finland, the folk music has been really, really dark, if you
Oh,
say it like
really?
that. Yeah,
You mean the Humpa?
well, yeah, but it is minor scale based.
Oh.
So that's why I think it was really easy to incorporate with metal music, because you already had those kind of like melodies there, and yeah, you didn't have to invent something new, and it didn't have to change the folk music in it,
Mm.
but you just needed to take that folk music and put distorted guitars on it, and it was and it was done, so it was. So I think we had a really, really like faster way to get to it than let's say like Greece, for example, where the folk music is really happy.
Mm. Oh, I didn't know that Finland has such a kind of like dark folk music. I
Yeah,
didn't
it
I
is,
didn't
and
listen to the traditional Finland folk music,
yeah,
so. Oh.
but there is, yeah, there's a lot of a lot of really tragic stories and
Uh,
pretty dark themes. Yeah,
oh, really? I should search more
yeah.
historical background of Finland. And by the way, it's totally off the topic, but I'm always annoyed when people say like, "Oh, Finnish folk music is related to Vikings," and I always yell at them, "No, Finnish people it doesn't they aren't related to Vikings. They related to Kalevala or something." And
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
was
yeah,
really pissed off
yeah,
that
yeah.
topic.
We're just always say when people say like, "Yeah, you're a Viking," stuff like, "Nope, don't do that. So we were the slaves of the Vikings." They came to
I'm sorry.
Finland to kidnap us and use them as slaves. Yeah. So,
Yeah, just go to school and study more and listen to
Yeah.
folk music. Move the topic to Dispyt. So I love that Dispyt merch, by the way. I really wanted to buy one, but the shipping fee to Korea was pretty much, so I
Oh,
so I couldn't buy
yeah.
it.
Yeah. Oh, actually, yeah. I actually have one on me right now. Repping my own band over here.
So personally, I absolutely love this bit. To be honest, though I love Fintroll too, I might even prefer it to the Fintroll albums you played on. Yeah, and
All right.
the D beats are really crazy in there. I really love the D beats. So I
Yeah,
really
me
want
too.
to ask that how did the band come together and who was the driving force behind this formation?
Well, it was well the first and really big name behind it was Ove. That was the drummer in the beginning. Well, on the last album he was the guitar player, but yeah, he was in the beginning he was the drummer. So he was the really like the driving force behind it. And our first guitar player, Philip, those two they wanted to make like this kind of Swedish crust melodic band like a little bit in the vein of like Sheet System Martyrdöd and those bands.
Yeah, I know there. I know them. I know
Yeah,
them.
yeah, yeah. And the thing was they needed a singer for the band. So I was back then I was living here in Pietarsaari back then. And they just said, "Hey, but this guy over here that I know a bit, he's here, and we could ask him if he wants to sing." And then we only need a bass player. And when they called me, and I said, "Yeah, I really want to," because it's what I listened to in the 90s. I listened to a lot of DB. Uh, but okay, it was maybe a little bit more skate punky back then than what I listened to, but also Swedish crust and like death metal, punky death metal that Sweden has had. So but yeah, and they called me up and I said, yeah, sure, because this is like nostalgic to me to do this kind of music, but I want to play bass as well because I hadn't played bass in a lot of years, and I started as a bass player. So and they said, yeah, we need a bass player, so why not? And that's how it started. But yeah, it's Uwe is the main guy really behind it, and of course Ville, but Ville after a while he moved to Sweden to pursue other things. So then we had to invite some more people, and now we are actually having. Well, actually, it's mainly me and Uwe right now in the band.
Oh, thank you. So, talking more about your bass playing. So, I watched your live footage of the dispute, and the bass line
Yeah.
looks insanely fast. Like your your skill of the bass is really insane. And is it difficult to play bass and handle vocals at the same time?
Well, not in this band. I'm trying to make it as easy as possible. It's I'm it's not elaborate like baselines. I'm not doing a lot of that. On the first actually tour we did outside of Finland, we did 2 weeks in Europe, like with like a van tour. That's a couple of quite many years ago actually. Right now, I don't really actually remember. It's something like 10 years ago. But then I didn't even tune, the two the last two strings. I only had the B and the E string tuned because I didn't need those. I never touched those strings. It's just on the two thickest ones. I
Oh,
make it easy for
interesting.
myself. Yeah, but I really like to sing and play bass because this
Mm.
I've been in just like only the singer in so many bands for the last 20 25 years. So I really wanted to get back into the bass playing. And,
Mm.
and in the beginning, I was more of like the bass player that actually just did backing vocals, and then my backing vocals became sort of lead vocals.
Oh, cool. Yeah, thank you for answering. So you talked about Mathias before, and have you always had a passion for crust punk and D-beat? You said before that you usually listen to D-beat when you were young, right?
Yeah, I
So
listen to a lot.
are there any bands in that scene that you particularly enjoy? Any Swedish or Finnish band? And in my case, I'm
Well,
a big fan of Martyrdöd.
yeah, I really love them, and well, everything they did sort of until the album, well, List album, it's a really good album, but
Yeah,
and
definitely.
everything they did before, I really like. I kind of now I'm not really liking the new stuff so much. It was they were, the older stuff were better, as everyone says.
Mm-mm.
And but yeah, I listen to them a lot, and Sheet System is one of my like really like favorite frosty bands from Sweden. But I also listen to a lot of Dispyt and yeah.
So anyway, is there a recurring theme that runs through Dispyt's lyrics? So the lyrics aren't easy to find, and since I don't speak Swedish, I've never been able to fully understand them. But from the atmosphere of the music, though, I got the impression that the themes are rather dark.
Well, they are pretty dark. Yeah, it's been kind of because it's been well in the beginning it was also Filler writing, but since he moved away and is not part of the band, he's not writing anymore. But it's sort of been I'm calling Dispute a therapy band. Not only because all of us in the band we have other bands, we have a lot of work, we have a lot of other things. So Dispute is one of those bands, that when we have some time for it, we do, then we go into it, and it's so I call it like a therapy band in that sense that it's like a counterweight to all the other things we do, but also it's also kind of therapeutical in the sense that you get all those kind of emotions channeled into it. So so it's
Mm.
kind of therapeutic in that kind of sense, and I have always had this problem with when I'm feeling too good, when I'm doing really well, I cannot write anything. So it's usually when I'm really dark place, or really feeling bad or really stressed out or something like that. That's when the best ideas come to me, and Dispute has been a really like a channel for that. So
Mm.
that's why it's kind of dark. Well, it's not kind of dark. It is really dark.
Oh, I really wanted to translate it on my blog,
Yeah.
but since I don't know the lyrics at all, and like if the lyrics are written, I can, translate them into some system, but I should listen to, like, literally listen to that lyrics. And so because of that, I
Yeah.
was thinking about, oh, should I learn Swedish or something? Yeah, but I failed. Okay, anyway, let's move on to some question related to black metal, your black metal
Yeah.
projects. So, you seem to have a deep appreciation for black metal. So, if I remember correctly, your first metal band was the Twilight Moon, the melodic and symphonic black metal band. So, which
Yeah.
artist or band influenced the Twilight Moon the most back then?
Ooh, that's hard to say. It was a super like combination of so many guys in the band listening to so much different kind of black metal back then. We were three guys in the beginning, and well, one listened to like Gothenburg style death metal. I listened to Norwegian black metal. It's so it kind of became a melting pot for all the Scandinavian metal bands that were big back then. So it's really hard to like name one, but there's yeah, it's a lot of different kind of vibes, and also uh, maybe we wanted at some point to be the new Dimmu Borgir or something back then, but we were 15 years, so we had limited skills, and living in a small city, we didn't really have the musicians to form that kind of big band. So, but yeah, it's been. you know, it was teenage band, and it is what it is.
It's not a question, but I really enjoyed the Twilight Moon's work because at that era, like the Sweden had dissection and
Yeah,
in Norway and then there are so many famous Norwegian band in there and also
yeah,
like Finnish black metal, they are still rising up and but so at the time the band who is doing some like melodic black metal or symphonic black metal, they are some kind of like copy and paste of the section or emperor or Dimmu
yeah.
Borgir or something like that. But you know, to me, like Twilight Moon had their own unique sound, like their own sound. So I really enjoyed that.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
really like the copy and paste music, so.
No, I wouldn't say that either because we couldn't really, I couldn't really tell a band that would be, like really, really like, but that we sound like that or that. If something, then maybe like bands from Norway, like Covenant or whatever band Nagash at that point. So it could be it could be a little bit of like inspiration if you had to pick something, but yeah, and but yeah, it was a big like melting pot of three kind of different metal listeners making music together back then. Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, let's talk about Twilight Moon more. And as I said before, I absolutely love the sound of Twilight Moon. So, have you ever considered reviving a personal melodic or symphonic black metal project like that?
Uh, no, not really, actually. Well, it would be fun, to make an album just like nostalgic and just like ripping off a lot of uh, 90s symphonic black metal bands. But no, not really. I haven't. I'm not gonna start. I've got enough projects on my table, I think. So
Mm-hmm. Okay, I gotcha. So
yeah.
you're currently active in Oceans. So looking back, what would you say
Yeah.
is the biggest difference between Oceans and your work in Twilight Moon?
Well, but we are actually, we have the base in the same city. So back when Twilight Moon started in '97, and then already, and the Oceans were already active. They have been active for a couple of years, and in '98 when the first And Oceans album came out, we were listening to that a lot, and also the second one. So of course we were we had like a huge appreciation for the guys, because it was the first band from our city that really really got some international attention, and they were on big tours in the end of the '90s already, with touring with Marduk and Amon Amarth and Mortician, all those bands. They were out there. Vader, they were out there, and we were, you know became friends later and everything. So yeah, it's of course they sort of fit together, and we were, how to say, like highly inspired by the drive that they had back then and by the
Ooh,
momentum.
interesting. Because, like the first era of And Ocean is totally different, the current sound.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, but the Andosians have always been this kind of evolving band.
yeah,
Also, they've been,
definitely.
the first two albums, they are a little bit similar. They are pretty in the same genre, but then we have
Mm-hmm.
Aim God in 2001 that is more electronic and more
Mm-mm-mm.
industrial, or more, and then we have Cypher a year later that is super electronic.
Yeah, I listened to
So,
that.
yeah. Now, and Oceans have already always been like a really evolving band. When we did the comeback album in 2020, we sort of went a little bit back, in my opinion, just a little bit more towards the beginning, a little bit more to the '90s again. So, and we wanted to do something. We wanted to do something, that sounded like the first era of And Oceans, but with
Oh.
a more modern sound, with a little bit more of with a little bit of that electronica in it. And also as the albums progressed, and now we have the third comeback album out from last year, and that one was a little bit more electronic again, and it's so it's always evolving, it's yeah, but yes,
Oh,
we
thank you for
never know what
answering.
this one is going to be.
It's good to see, it's good to listen to those bands who keeps evolving its sound. That's
Yeah,
why I
yeah,
really love End Ocean's album.
yeah, yeah, and that's the always what I wanted to do as well, and me working on my 4 albums with Finntroll, working closely together with Trollhorn and Tundra, we have always struggled to find that red thread also for an album, to something that makes that album unique, something
Hmm.
something new. There's a lot of these bands out there that just they do the same album, over and over again. It's just a little bit. They maybe might change the guy that is recording and mixing the album. They might change a producer, but they still the same songs with a little bit of, like a little difference in the sound or something like that. And then they put out 3 singles, and they're the hit singles. And yeah, here we go on tours and the same album again, and they do it all over again. And that has never been interesting to me.
Mm.
I like evolution. I like change.
Yeah, thank you for answering. Okay, so let's talk about the recent And Oceans album. And I feel like there are some subtle folk metal elements in the sound, and maybe perhaps because of the prominent synth. So, was that something intentional, or did it just develop naturally during the songwriting process?
Yeah, that was actually something that I was laughing a little bit about Antti, our keyboard player, because in some of the songs there's this on one of the songs there's this kind of flute sound. It's kind of a electronic flute, but still it's a little bit. But then that was going back to a little bit to the 90s and what happened in Norway. And again I'm gonna mention like bands like Covenant or Troll or something like that had this a little bit of folky vibe to it sometimes, maybe 3% of the time. And this is also what accidentally now happened on this album. And we were thinking, should we change those sounds? But in the end, we were like, no, let's keep it a little bit like this. There's a lot of this, even like these techno parts in it, and there's a little bit of these industrial noisy parts. So let's have those parts and weigh them up a little bit with these kind of wonky synth sounds.
No, cool. Because I really enjoyed that sound.
Yeah.
Okay, so you featured on a variety of black metal releases, such as Kvine or Ondfødt, and comparing
Yeah.
guest appearance in black metal and folk metal, which do you find more enjoyable and why?
Well, as I've just told you before, I never really listened to that much of the folky stuff. And that's also probably why I was involved in Fintroll, for such a long time, because Finntroll was never, pure folk metal band either.
Yeah.
It was more like an influence.
Mm-hmm.
It was because Finntroll has been and always will be, a black metal band, in the
Mm-mm-mm-mm.
base. With sometimes, like Niflwind album had even like a lot of like country and 80s pop music influences that we mixed in with the folky stuff. So yeah, I've never been a pure folk metal fan. I never really.
Mm.
So that was an easy one. It's
Okay,
definitely
okay. Definitely black
for me.
metal.
Yeah, yeah.
So, like, if I remember it correctly, I saw your Instagram story or Instagram post, and I don't know, somewhere I saw like when you featured one song in Unfit, you or one member said that you evolved your like screaming skills or like some vocal skills. Like, if I remember it correct, or I just remember it wrong. like new vocal skills. Like, oh, no, I remembered it
Yeah,
wrong. So like
yeah,
the correct one is you screamed the longest time in there.
yeah,
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 that was
yeah.
the correct one. Yeah, sorry for
Yeah,
that.
it's on the we're deaf Rollins, yeah. Yeah, that was because the drummer of Untitled, Tommy, that also plays drums in Dispyt or played. He's actually taking a break from all the touring like me right now. Um, so, but yeah, so he both him and me, we are really really big Emperor fans,
Oh.
and something that really we both also we joked a lot about are the screams that Ishan does on in the night in the night side clips, and also there's a
Mm-mm-mm.
really long scream on like all the albums, like on the Nine Equilibrium there's a really long scream, and also on Anthems to the Welkin at Dusk, and those screams for me was something that made a really really big impact on me as a kid,
Oh.
and I strive to to do those long screams and how to hold my breath and feel like like be able to sing at the same time. So so I when I was young I really really practiced to do
Oh.
long scream, and and Tommy, when we started with Dispyt, and I started learning to know him through Ondfødt, because Ondfødt, Ove from Dispyt is also the main guy behind Ondfødt. So, and he's my good friend. So I started learning to know Tommy as well, and we both have been enjoying those screams so much that he actually really wanted a long scream on his album, because he
Oh.
knew that. So it's a little bit of a tribute from both our sides to Emperor. So yeah, and that was it was horrible, but he said like, yeah, so I have this one request, that you do a really really long scream in the beginning. I know that this might be impossible, but do it as long as you can. And that scream is like, oh my god, I don't know how many, but it's like 25 seconds. It's like
Wow.
almost half a minute, and it's I almost passed out when I did it, but I made it, and it's not faked. I didn't time stretch. I didn't put two screams or anything.
Whoa.
It's that scream, and it's so yeah. So, but I had to redo it many many times, and I almost
Oh.
passed out. Yeah. So,
Okay. Glad you're right here.
that's the story
Glad you
behind
didn't
that.
pass
Yeah, that's
out.
the story behind. Yeah,
Okay,
but I did
so
it.
yeah, you did really good in there. Anyway, let's talk about your vocals for a bit. So, you said your vocal style changed a lot throughout many years. So, I, in my ears, your vocal styles in Fintroll and Oceans and Dispyt all sound quite different. It feels like
Yeah,
you established, as you said before, you established your vocal style in Fintroll and then made it a bit more black metal oriented in and Oceans, while this bit has a much rawer and harsher
yeah.
edge. So, are you actually using different techniques for each band, or is it more a matter of adapting to the music?
Yeah, it's more about adapting to the music. I'm using the same technique, but I'm I've really always been. I've never been a fan of those, like singers. There are a lot of singers and out there that they have a big band, and then they do something and like a side project, or they have another band, and they just put their same vocals on it, and they do a guest vocal part on something, and they do the same thing, the same old thing again. And sometimes I don't really, with those singers, I don't like what they do. If their main band is, whoa, this is so cool, this sounds so good, but then they put the same style of vocal on a totally different band, and to me it's like it just clashes. It's like oil and water sometimes. It doesn't mix. So for me it's always been, I've been really really picky with my vocals, to create uh to adapt my vocals to the project that I'm doing. So but this also is kind of a bad thing as well, because if back then when I toured with Finntroll, and I came off a long tour. I did let's say a month with Finntroll, and I had to go into the studio with Andotians. I couldn't really, switch like that. So it always
Oh.
took me like a day or something in the studio to change and find the Andosians gear again. Oh, and of course the other way around. And when I got out of the studio with Andosians, I might have like a Finntroll gig or something, and then I really need to go, to, rewire my brain again for that project, or that band, But I've been really, really, really picky with that to actually create a new persona for all the projects. And for example, doing the Finntroll kind of stuff vocals with Dispyt, it would have been, it would have been what people expected me to do,
Mm-hmm.
but it wouldn't have fit, it would have sounded
Yeah.
weird. So that's why I really wanted, and that's also a skill that I didn't really develop, and that's why Uriurens Djup sounds like it sounds, because I hadn't really created the Finntroll persona yet.
Oh, thank you. So, do you have any plans to return to death metal projects such as Decomposer or Magenta Harvest? A friend of mine is a huge fan of death metal, and she also liked your stuff too.
Yeah. Um, well, Decomposer, that was just that was pure therapy band that we had, and we haven't really done anything. We just did the 2 EPs, and that was it. So I wouldn't really see us, getting back and doing it. Magenta Harvest was actually, now we have Andosians instead. It was a little bit of the same guys, and also it was kind of a continuation of Andosians, because back then already we talked about an Andosians reunion, or at least to start a band that would play a couple of Andosian songs live, and that was Magenta Harvest. But we didn't do anything about it. And if you check the first 4 Andosians album on Cypher, the last song is actually called the Magenta Harvest. So that was kind of inside joke that we took over from where Andosians left off. Magenta Harvest then turned into more a death metal band, so we decided not to do anything with and not play any Andosian songs, and making it into something it wasn't. But in the beginning the idea was with Magenta Harvest to sort of take over where Andosians left off, but it never really went that way.
Yeah, cool to know that I can, send your message to your friends.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you're also teaching vocal lessons these days, right?
Yeah, I do that sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any fun stories from rock camp?
Yeah, that's rock camp. That's my like youth work more. It's not because well, it's the EU laws and stuff about youth work. So with rock camp, it's from 13-year-olds to 29-year-olds that we work with. So I kind of always do my vocal stuff within rock camp, because sometimes I have older than 29-year-olds that I teach. But yeah, it's been fun, and it's kind of it's my how to say, like a little bit more like to make some money on the side, and but yeah, so I don't really get any like funny stories right now, but nothing comes to mind right now. But yeah, but I'm still doing those, but sometimes I have so much to do, with all the bands, and with as I said, with the youth work that I do for rock camp, so I don't really have time for those lessons. But now that I stopped, well, I'm cutting down on touring a lot, because I want to stay home. I need to. I've been touring so much that that I'm pulling a little bit on the handbrake right now, and
Oh.
I'm not touring. So now I'm actually getting back into to the teaching stuff and doing a little bit more of the youth work and over here to work with local talents and arranging, interesting stuff, interesting culture events here in my hometown area. So that's what I'm doing right now. So yeah. uh, so let's see what happens with all these lessons and stuff like that. Yeah, because I've always had a lot of things to do all the time. I've been working like like crazy sometimes.
No. So, can you offer me a trial lesson? So, if it's really good, then I'm gonna head to the Jakobsted and call you as a teacher.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's not far, Korea is just like it's our neighbor over here. It's not that far away, right?
Yeah, totally 1 hour flight.
Yeah, exactly.
So, can you do the trial lesson throughout the cyberplex, like in this meeting?
Oh, that's cyber pitch.
Yeah.
Nah, well, it would take me like half an hour, but
Oh,
but
really?
to do this, but yeah, well, but yeah, uh, the thing, like the quick thing here is like what because we're talking about screaming and
Mm-hmm.
like this screaming vocals. Um, the first thing is that you have to learn is that you're not screaming. Screaming is what we avoid. That's yeah, because that's when you hurt yourself. So
Oh.
we are not screaming. We are using our different parts of our anatomy instead. So that's the thing you need to with most of the students that I have. I need to sort of pare down the idea of shouting and screaming and
Mm,
doing all this kind of really brutal stuff. But,
yeah.
it's all of taking it easy and chilling, relaxing every part of your body and and get that kind of base growl out of you first, and then build on that. So
Oh,
this is the short
cool.
pitch.
Cool.
Oh yeah,
The total
yeah,
introduction. By
yeah.
the way,
So
can you do the girls as well?
yeah, I do those
Oh,
things.
can you show me?
Oh, well, that was basic. So,
Oh,
no,
okay,
no
okay,
warming up. I
okay.
really hope that my microphone didn't do this. Like I have this, like it's connected to a sound card and it's connected to this and that. So I hope it didn't sound crappy.
It's muted. I couldn't
It's
hear it.
oh, like muted. Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well,
Yeah, like
yeah.
you're just saying like yeah, like this.
Ah,
I
okay, yeah,
didn't hear
yeah.
anything.
Because I think Google Meet actually did it into. It thought it was not like a voice. That's usually what it does. There's this kind of AI that sort of
Ah,
analyzes stuff and what is talking, what is singing. So if I would do normal singing, you would hear me, but it thought it was more, like because it's filtering out background noise, and
ah.
it usually thinks that this kind of growling is background noise.
Mm,
So the first
ah.
thing you need to do is disconnect all these kind of AI features and shit. So,
Anyway,
so
thank
sorry.
you. No, 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 no. You
Yeah,
don't need to be sorry. Like I can
yeah,
head over to Jakobsted to listen to your
yeah,
girls and
yeah, yeah. And
yeah. If I go there, I will definitely buy you something, buy you a drink,
yeah, yeah.
maybe. So
Go to the local
okay,
rock bar.
okay. This would be the some kind of like personal question. So, of all your tattoos, which one is your favorite, and what first sparked your interest in tattoos?
Oh, yeah. That's well. It was already of course, in the '90s when I started listening to punk and metal. It was all these pictures of the guys in the bands having tattoos, and I was like, yeah, I want that when I get older. And luckily, I didn't get any tattoos back then because I would have been full of tribals or something like that. And, it took me a couple of years before I started getting any tattoos. Uh, well, I I cannot really I cannot really say which one is my favorite because there's a lot of things going on, and all of the tattoos are sort of they are some kind of memories, and
Oh.
they don't really all of them don't really have a deeper meaning, like really like deep. You have, back some years ago when there was this like Miami Ink and LA Ink and all those shows out there where the tattoos needed to have super deep meanings, and it was, oh, this is about my grandmother and she raised me and blah blah blah, or something like it was always something like that. But to me they represent something. There's it's a memory. I got my right leg full of like small tattoos that is like, oh yeah, it's from that tour. That's, oh, it's that one that we all did. So I've got all these like memories attached to them, to most of them. But if we are talking about something, it's maybe this right arm is kind of meaningful because it's got elements from all of my bands that I've had throughout time. So there's a lot of all the elements here are representing one band that I had. So that one is, of course, really really meaningful because this is 30 years of my life is right here.
Oh. Okay, then I'll ask differently. So, which part of the body was the most hurt?
Oh, that was the one. That's easy. That was the ones between my toes that
Oh,
the worst
really?
so far. Yeah, that was really terrible. I have to tell you. Do not get tattoos between your toes.
Between the toes. Oh my God.
Mhm.
How did you endure that?
I did not. I actually, the tattoo guy that did a tattoo. I've got two small dots on my toes
Hmm.
because when he was tattooing between the toes, he really had to hold my foot really like this and try to get it in. But at some point, I because I was really kicking because it hurt so bad, and I'm really ticklish also. So he had really had to hold down my foot, and at some point, he couldn't hold on to my foot anymore. So
Oh.
the foot slipped out of his hand, and I kicked the needle two times, like dang dang. So I got two dots on my toes there just because I kicked the needle. So
Okay, anyway,
so yeah,
thank you for sharing.
it really hurt. Sorry?
No, 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 thank you for sharing.
Yeah, that's yeah. So kids don't get tattoo toes.
So, okay, totally off the topic. Can you teach me some useful Swedish phrases? Because as I told you before, I actually considered learning Swedish because of you, but I kept mixing up
Oh,
hey and hejdå. So
hmm?
maybe that's why I
Ah,
don't have any Swedish friends, and every time I try to meet someone, I greet them with hejdå and immediately end the conversation.
yeah. Yeah, it's like yeah. Yeah, let's not start with bye, no. Yeah. So what do you want to know? I don't really get any like from the like top of my head.
No, just
So
some kind of like when I want to order coffee or something.
yeah. Then you just because we have a little bit of this when you order something, you need to say like please also. You're being polite. So you will say en kaffe tack.
That's all.
Uh, a coffee, please.
En kaffe tack.
En kaffe. En kaffe. Tack.
En kaffe tack.
Three
Ah,
words.
tack. Okay, okay, tack. I know tack.
Tack, yeah. Like
Oh,
thank you, or
I
or
remember one
like
phrase. Tack så mycket.
yeah, exactly.
Oh,
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah,
okay. Oh, okay. Now I
yeah,
know one phrase is more. Thank you.
yeah. Yeah.
So,
There you have it.
is there any genre outside of black, death, and folk metal that you'd like to explore in the future? It doesn't have to be metal at all.
Well, I've never been, you know, the the guy that really want to put myself in a box where I'm, like to only listen to metal or only listen to punk music or only. I've always liked to expand and listen to different things. Well, in my teenagers, when I was teenager, I did go like that like, in the 90s for a while, and that's why I missed the grunge scene. So I never listened to grunge because I listened to Dark Throne. So, I missed the whole thing with like Pearl Jam and Alice in Chains because I was listening to Dark Throne. And but other than that, I've always been into so many different genres from growing up with rock music here at home and to being listening to a lot of electronic music to going into punk and death metal and then black metal. Uh, so yeah, I haven't really. There's not really any genre that I don't listen to. So that's also why I like uh, to be in bands like Ocean, sorry, or my time in Fintroll, because it was a lot of experimenting with like different genres. Right now, I'm diving into with my solo stuff into more electronic stuff. Uh, I don't know if you heard, but I have this new single with the Lillmåns project out. It was in May, I think it was released.
Yeah, I already
That is,
listened to it.
yeah.
It was pretty
So
good.
that's yeah. Thank you. Yeah, so there I'm going into to a little bit more industrial, maybe a little bit more like and with industrial, I don't. There's a lot of these bands that call themselves industrial, and it's just like 90s techno with distorted guitars, and I don't call that industrial. That's not industrial, um, but industrial metal or whatever. But but yeah, I'm going more into to more like 9 Inch Nailsy kind of stuff. Uh, so yeah, so this is something that I'm really exploring right now, and there's actually more stuff coming. It's not going to be long now for until the next single is out, and that goes even a little bit further into electronic stuff.
Oh.
So I'm gonna go that way right now. It seems.
Glad to hear that. I'm really looking forward to listen to.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
gonna be soon-ish. I'm working with a really small company that my friend started last year. So it's not big releases, but it's I can choose my deadlines. I can do exactly what I want. I don't have any big label manager telling me what to do or when to do stuff. So I can release it at my own pace and being home has been really nice. Like getting having my own studio, where to work on music. So yeah, it's let's see where it takes me. But right now, it seems like I'm gonna explore a little bit more of the electronic side of music and leaving actually and not putting that much metal into it. Of course, my vocals are gonna be what they are, but
okay, thank you for answering. So, the saddest part of the interview came. Honestly, I feel like I could sit here and talk with you for hours, but I should probably let you get back to your day. So, do you have a message for your fans and listeners around the world?
well, it's been nice to do this interview, and it could be, as I said in the beginning, that my first interview to Korea. I'm not sure. I think so. So it's cool to have fans from there as well. And yeah, check out the new material I'm releasing right now, and maybe see you out there someday.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that. I'm
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah, I would love to. I've never been to Korea, so I would love to come someday.
Yeah, okay, like I can be your touring guide for free.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, thank you for taking your time. I really appreciate it. Okay, that's it from us. Thank you so much for watching, and please subscribe and follow for more interviews and info. Woo!